Hello everyone, welcome back to our podcast. Well, to be honest, I really should think of a name about our thing for next week. But anyway, I'm glad to have Ben and Mo with me again today to talk about our most beloved region, right? LCP. So let's get
That's right.
started, shall we? So today we're going to first talk about the week two performance from Let's go by game. And the next thing that we talk about is the meta so far, and let's have a prediction at the last on week three. Okay, the first game will be Chiefs against DFM. So interesting one. I remember when I remember last week when we predict the result is kind of similar to what we get now, right?
Yeah, I think everyone thought it would go 3 games.
An interesting one, to be honest. It's also a bloodbath in the
Hmm.
especially in the last game. How's
Yeah.
the feeling?
Well, I mean, I think this series, like, the Chiefs should have won, right? Like game three, they should have probably won. Even game two, game one rather, there was some really weird team fighting,
Mhm.
or skirmishing early on. The invade where they pretty much lost the game on the spot, where Guwon picked up like a triple kill, I believe. Lemus was actually at that fight, and instead of coming and joining and actually auto attacking, he left and went back top, and then the fight broke out, and Chiefs lost, and kind of snowballed from there. But especially game three, they were like very comfortably ahead, and then Mayor dropped the hield, jumped into it, and then drove into a tower, died. Jimmy and died as well on the same play, and that kind of ruined the game for them in many ways. Also, Luon took the wrong runes. He had Guardian on Leona instead of
Yeah,
Aftershock,
yeah.
which obviously lowers your tankiness quite a lot when it comes to those engagements. So I think a lot of things went wrong to cause them to lose that, but ultimately the series was about as close as I would have imagined.
Yeah, I think pretty much the same. I think I think I said DFM would win, but I wanted Chiefs to win. But the idea that it was going to be a very close series is still true. We kind of saw that. I think we saw that DFM was probably a bit stronger of an understanding of how to actually generate leads. A lot of it did just come through Go On, but I think we saw that Chiefs just kind of just ended up inting a lot, whereas DFM weren't doing that as much. And these games, they kind of just exploded in terms of leads. Like each game, they just swung really heavily to one side or the other. And then sometimes they swung back because people are inting, but I think it's kind of interesting to see that even though these teams might be perceived as weaker teams, that individually each game you can get this disgustingly large lead just so fast, which is kind of crazy because it could have been like a quick 2-0 and you might think one team is amazing, one team's terrible, but it just seems to be the nature of LCP at the moment where games are just massively one-sided either way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of. But to be honest, um, I still feel like the quality of the games are kind of, medicore, I would say.
Yeah, I thought the
Yeah,
quality
it's
of
the
these
it's the
ones were
Yeah,
fist
not
fan
great.
everything. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, in game three, the Chiefs were down like 12k gold and still almost winning fights, if not
yeah,
for
yeah,
Arya, like actually
Yeah.
Goomba smurfing on Yasuo. So it's like clearly there's a lot going wrong, right? Like when you're 12k up, you should not be relying on your mid laner to actually 1v3 a fight to get the win.
Do you guys think like this is the coven on on shifts on how or will they get in playoffs? Like yeah, the final coven. Because to be honest, like their group, like
Hmm.
the small group that we discussed about last time, and for the first 2 weeks of LCP is like, you know, uh, Talent, DFM, Chiefs, and Secret Rails, like they're all on
Hmm.
the same side, right? And to be honest, I
Yeah.
think like three of them, like the Secret Rails, Chiefs, and DFM are kind of the lower teams in my opinion. And maybe after this loss, is kind of Chiefs, uh, final
Yeah.
game
Yeah.
that
I
they're
mean,
gonna get a playoff. Yeah.
yeah, I don't think they will. I would say that I don't think Team Secret. I think Team Secret Wales is better than SoftBank, but yeah, I mean Chiefs won't make
Yeah,
playoffs
yeah.
now. There's no way.
Yeah, Chiefs are a bit fucked for now.
But it is just first stand. Like this split, like
Yeah,
barely
it's short
matters.
anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, like we're almost done.
Yeah, I think like
Yeah.
that's not about to take from the game. And Arya did play good, which is
Yeah, Arya
finally,
played.
yeah,
Yeah.
finally like remember last time and before we talked about, hey, maybe Arya is really good. Maybe after getting rid of Steel, then things will be better. And to be honest, this series kind of show it a bit. Like even in the game, the second game, right, the Asia game, he lost. It's
Yeah.
kind of he's doing everything right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's clearly played the best this whole series. I'll say I think Biopanther played pretty well in general. Maybe actually not the Cassandra game, but like I think game 2 they only won because of Biopanther's Scion, the Chiefs. I mean,
Yeah, I did pretty good.
but
Yeah, it was
yeah,
a hard carry.
Arya definitely was the best player in this series, and I don't think it was close at all.
Oh, one thing I have to ask. I think Milan or Cocoon is better for DFM. This is a very interesting
Milan,
series, right? The game is Milan,
yeah.
and second game is they put Cocoon on
hmm
Talia again. But yeah, game 3 after the loss in game 2, when I saw the camera in other lives,
hmm
Cocoon is just like asking, should I change the keyboards to things like that.
hmm
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I think based on this series, you'd have to say Milan. I do think it's kind of cool that Cocoon played Talia. It gives a lot of perks vibes. I think if that's a legitimate strategy they have, where he is going to play mages, that gives them a really large advantage.
Yeah.
I don't think he will, but that might just be a pocket pick. So if they do choose to go with Cocoon in the end, I don't know if this is like a split long trial period or something, because at least from my knowledge of the teams in Split 1, it does feel like a lot of teams are using it as like a feeling out, just adjusting, working out what our best roster is, getting used to Taiwan, the event, the LAN, everything like that. So even though Milan might look better this series, and he actually looked pretty good in the second series too,
Yeah.
if they do end up going with Cocoon, I think it's probably a bit more exciting because he might play mages, which is more interesting to me. But for now, I think it's kind of hard to say who's going to be better because stage games are so limited compared to the number of scrims they're playing, and that's probably much more impactful in their decision.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I think in general, what we've seen on stage, Milan just seems like the more stable person to put in right now. Like Cocoon when he was on an actual AD carry was very suboptimal, to say the least.
Yeah, yeah.
And here on Talia, he didn't really get anything done. Like, yeah, I don't think the Talia pick's actually that good this game. Like, it's good against Callista only,
Yeah.
really, right? Like, that's it. And so I don't, yeah.
Yeah, you also
It
make like
was like,
in the late game bio just stack they just can
yeah.
kill Black Panther. I remember.
Yeah, exactly. He just like Vi and Ambassador aren't killing Biopanther, and if they are, then it's just going to be a wiped team fight, and that's kind of what we saw.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, let's go to the next one. Oh, a fucking banger one, right?
Oh,
Game
this
one,
is
I
awesome.
really
Yeah,
fucking think Talon is going to lose that.
yeah. Down 11k gold, and then ended up winning. I mean, we don't even have to talk about game 2 because that was just a complete and utter stomp. But
Yeah.
game 1 was so sick. It's like okay, like just everyone was so certain that like Talon had lost. Right, they're down 11k gold. There was a Dragon Soul for Team Secret. They got Baron. And then one Artican fight happens and it goes a little bit poorly. Daya almost saves it. And then the next fight happens and all of a sudden like Fofo's getting gold, Betty's getting gold, like Betty with that snipe on Daya with the Jin curtain call fourth shot. And then just from that point on, it seemed like Team Secret Wales had like completely lost all the wind in their sails and just Talon just won fight after fight after fight after fight after fight and eventually brought back an 11k gold lead and won, which is just fucking insanity to me.
I think the more interesting part is that we can take away from this game is the early games from Talon, especially
Mhm.
the Kaiser. Because to be honest, not only this game but like from Week 1 also and the other the other games that they play on Week 2 is his pathing is kind of so weird to me.
Yeah.
And especially I think this game he was forced to gank top since Sacred Rails have a very good invade in level 1, and after that Kaiser is forced to like free camps on Bruce on his brew, then he to go top and try to gank top, but his mechanics and like decision making is just so hesitant to me.
Mm.
Yeah, I think Hero is actually dead on the first gank, but Kaiser just fucked up the mechanics. So
Yeah.
and that's a very worrying trend for Talon, because to be honest, I think like this game they also try a different comp for them, like they
Mhm.
kind of don't have a big engage, right? Because there's just Poppy and Xin Zhao, and it's like they're trying to force something in the early game to show that they can do things in early game, you know.
Yeah.
But it fucking backfired.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
think that. Oh yeah, you go.
no, you go, you go.
Okay, so yeah, I think that while they might be kind of like experimented on the sorts of draft, I think like these actual champs they're picking are champs they do like to play. Betty loves to pick Jin. I think it's terrible, but he does love to do it. I don't know. He always picks like Jin and Caitlyn, and he's just bad at it in my opinion. But he wins in PCS, so he thinks it's like good or something. I don't know. It's very fake data. But anyways, this game kind of reminded me of something you would see in LCK, like Gen G versus like a shit team, and they're down like 15k, but just end up winning because the other teams just suck in their league. And that's the vibe I got from this one. I mean, Secret Wales, they had Infernal Soul, and it was like 12k lead, Baron, everything. And they still can't end because they're just diving into Xin Zhao, Victor W, and Poppy on repeat and had no idea how to play the game. And it's like, it's not deflating per se because I thought Secret Wales wouldn't be the best team in the world or the best team in the league. But you kind of get that feeling where it's like, oh crap, is this just another year where every other team in the league is just not going to be able to beat them? So Talon can just AFK, go down 10k, but just still win. And that kind of sucks. So I think for the sake of the league, you would want to see the weaker teams actually just start to make sure they can finish these games, try and get the wins against Talon or CFO, etc. We don't want to see games where Talon AFK and somehow win a late game fight because it kind of just trains them to have this style where they're just, oh, just scale, just scale, just scale. And when you go to internationals, they're just going to get shit on. So I think I don't want to see this anymore. It sucks for Secret Wales, obviously. Game 2, mental's gone, it's boom. But they really should have won the first game. I guess they can learn from it. They had a really good situation, and they might learn how to use that lead, even though it seems quite trivial and simple. But yeah, overall, I think this made Talon look a bit, not even a bit, a lot weaker than we thought. Even though Secret Wales was a bit of like oh, we don't know how good they are. They like quite bad, quite good. I remember last week we talked about they had a very clean series against DFM, so we were like, okay, are they really good? Or just better than DFM? Like, where are they on the list? And I think after this series, we're still stuck in that situation where Game 1 Talon is like a bit of inting and Secret Wales should win, and then Game 2 real Talon show up and Secret Wales just get smashed. So I think we're back to the idea where Secret Wales is somewhere in the middle. They could go up and down, but I think it's quite clear that the difference between teams is a lot lower than what could be perceived at first.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like you've pretty much said everything. I will say like the only person I feel like on the side of Talon that I didn't have any real critiques between the games for was probably Betty, because he like even in the Jin game, he's just playing Jin from 11k behind and still doing about as much as you possibly could dream of from a Jin. And then obviously the Kaiser game, he didn't really have to do anything. He's got a cool score, but it's kind of regardless of how he did. That was just the team was running the map. But yeah, I think Betty played very well. Woody eventually played very well as Poppy, but I think his early game left a lot to be desired.
Oh, to be honest, I actually got a kind of different view on that, cause I mean, Betty they play fine, but how to say it, like is I think he's like compared this year Betty to last year Betty,
Mm-hmm.
I think like Betty is just kind of a bit regressed, to be honest. But yeah, like not only on this series but also on the next one. Maybe we can talk about it more on the DFM game one. Yeah, DFM games. But it's kind of like he can't really dominate the lane and kind of have some uh I don't know, is it about the communication or whatever things has happened, but it's like his pathing maybe sometimes it's kind of weird. And to be honest, he's still kind of passive. Like in so many scenarios, maybe he can do more, but he's like still the
Yeah.
stable guy. Like if I talk about like this series, maybe the best one of course Fofo. Yeah, there's no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he's carrying like both games, and especially in game one, he's tried to do it more so many things.
Yeah.
And Woody kind of also perform in a in a sense, right? like especially in the
Mhm.
late game in
Yeah.
game one. Yeah, mid to late game, he just carried back the fight. And to be honest, I'm more surprised that Woody in general, including last week, I mean game week one, and like the whole week two, that he's kind of give me a better vibe, and better at all, better overall. But
Okay.
Betty, um, I think it kind of stable, and especially Azi actually kind of regress also. Maybe that's because of Jinja, not Kasar.
Yeah, well, I think that plays a
Yeah,
part for sure.
that hurts. But anyway, still are very disappointing performance from Talon, and it's from this series. Yeah, but
Mhm.
anyway, let's move on for the next one. Uh, kind of a surprisingly close one in game one from Vikings and SoftBank.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like just because one team got Skarner, it makes the game a lot harder to actually progress through. Like honestly, that champion is so overloaded, and the fact it lost is pretty unreal. But like Guri played fantastically this whole time. Brand is pretty good, like against Skarner in general, but like it's pretty easy for you to make one mistake, get chomped up by Impale and die. But I think ultimately through this series, like Long, he was on Pike and it was cool to see, but he didn't really do much. I think this was largely just like Guri and Cuddy this
Yeah.
series.
I think the interesting part is like on the first game draft is clearly I remember exact moment that they're going to draft Pike, and in the week one they kind of Silong Pike is kind of playing very good, right? But somehow like SoftBank just still open for him is kind of fucking like weird for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I didn't. His impact was a lot less this game than it was in week one. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was still good. I mean, ultimately, they all played very well. I think in both games, there wasn't any really egregious mistakes or anything like that. Like Kratos was doing a great job up against Evie in the top lane, and like Cassante against Ambessa is actually kind of a cringe lane. Like obviously you don't play most of the lane phase against each other, but like as the game progresses, the side lane becomes extremely frustrating as Cassante against the Ambessa because like you can't reliably hit her and she just kills you. It's a pretty egregious sort of side lane to manage, but I think obviously Cuddy, as how fit he was, able to neutralize that a little bit, and they were just able to steamroll team fights. So there wasn't a whole lot to take away from these games. I mean, you can see the gold lead, right? It's like
Yeah, yeah.
15k and then 13k. It was just kind of a steamroll.
No, actually, one thing that I'm kind of interesting is what do you guys think of like the vid swap like to like the bot lane doing going to mid lane? Because I think like Vikings is the only team to do that right now, except maybe Gam, right?
Mm. I think it's good depending on what the enemy team's carry is. Like if they have a mid lane champ, like Corki is a good example that really needs to get like 2 items before he truly comes online, and you deny that like the spike of items by putting 2 people in mid lane, then it can be good. But like there's certain champs that it just doesn't matter against, right? Like I think against Yone it's a little less impactful because he can farm pretty safely at his tower and get like every single bit of farm anyway. But yeah, I think it just depends on what the mid lane champ is.
Yeah. I guess I can talk a bit more about the swap is so this series rather, both of them are good scenarios where doing it versus Zero or doing it versus Yon are both just advantageous. You can just hit them under the tower. You can't kill them most of the time, but you can just put some threat on them. And then the whole goal of it is to 3-quadrant the jungle. It seems like they have the strongest understanding of it, but they're very open to the skirmishes, which it kind of just makes happen. So it naturally causes a lot more fights and skirmishes to happen, which they want to have. Whereas other teams are trying to kind of just avoid Vikings. So by Vikings doing this swap every game, it just makes action, and that's what they want. They just want this chaos, and it draws the other teams in, and the other teams are struggling to reply for now. I think as teams learn the situations for when it's going to happen, when it's not going to happen, things might change a bit. But for now, if you have like a melee mid, they're just going to put 2 people bot, and you're just going to have to defend and fight for your life. Or you just play very passive, and you just give a lot of things for the first few minutes. I think, as I talked about at the start, these games are getting swung very heavily just in early games, and
Yeah.
this VS swap is one of the better ways that you can do it, because since these games are so snowbally, Vikings can just do the swap, and if they get a small lead off it, it just snowballs into a gigantic lead. It seems like we're fighting like every single grubs, every single game is kind of bizarre, because at least to me, previously before LCP, we obviously had PCS, and it was an extremely passive, boring ass league.
Yeah.
It was better last year with BO3s. In previous years with BO1s, it was truly the worst league in the world to watch. But with BO3, it was a bit better, but still a very passive league. But now this year with the merger, it's just seems like it's just crazy. Everyone's just going for it. Everyone's just perma-fighting grubs. Obviously they are strong, but I think this goes against the identity of a lot of the different teams here. It feels like only the Vietnamese teams are the ones who wanted a perma-fight, and even then GAM was not that team. So it's kind of interesting. I guess it's just winter, everyone's playing quite loose. So the idea that, hey, let's just perma-fight, do whatever, fight for grubs, fight for drakes, and that's the advantage of having this swap. Just causes the other teams to fight, and everyone's just leaning into it.
Yeah. Before going to the next one, I have one more question asked for both of you. Like, what's the problem of SoftBank now?
I mean, honestly, it seems like everything's a bit of a problem. Like, Marble's just playing how Marble always has, right? Like, he's never the person that loses you the game, but he's never the person that wins you the game. And it seems like Fate is all... He's not got that X factor that Dasher used to have. Like, Dasher on SoftBank last year would be like... that you could rely on him to be that carry force. You know, he'd make the play, he'd do some ridiculous thing that got a pick or whatever it may be, but he'd always find an angle to get themselves play within a game, whether it be at an objective or like over in, you know, a tower, whatever. He was very good at doing that. Whereas Fate, he seems like the stereotypical, like not quite the best, but somewhere on the lower end of the LCK mid laners, which of course he was. And he just sort of farms up. You know, yes, he could possibly be strong in a team fight, but there's no one really on this team making that hero play to cause the game to break open for them. And I think that's a problem they're really struggling with, because he's giving up, you know. He'll come to the team fight and be a team player. Evie does the same. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now what? Because Courage is also not really finding a whole lot. It just seems like we've got a lot of players that aren't capable of finding an angle to blow open a game in their favor, whereas every other team they're going up against, especially in the topper end of the ladder, has got at least one of those players, if not multiple.
Yeah, I think I agree with everything that he just said, that they kind of just have a lot of enablers around, and no one's really just there to carry the team. Last year with Dasher, it was just the perfect meta for them. Control mages, AD carries, they could farm 13, 12 CS per minute, and he would just carry the game. I think just all three, just the mid jungle support, it just feels like a pretty big downgrade. Now, as to like if they can fix it and how they can recoup, I mean, sure. I think they can definitely grow and improve, but I think the idea that it's going to be similar levels to last year just needs to be forgotten for now, whilst they try to rebuild. I think if lane swaps finally die and go away, that does help this team. Yeah. Because I think Evie, despite him being very experienced and he plays tanks, you're like, great, lane swap should be pretty good for them. I think it just adds a lot of complexity into their game, and they're not doing it too well. But also, I think Evie just in a 1v1 is much better, because he can just play his like gatekeeper role, where he's not going to get smashed in the 1v1 versus anyone, and he'll win against the bad players, and then he can kind of show up and do his team game whilst the game is not completely lost from a lane swap. So I think if lane swaps go away, it helps them a lot. Also means Marble can just continue playing his champs. And the time lane swaps are removed will probably be Split 2. And Split 2 no longer has Fearless, which is a big buff for Marble. I think I think in these series we're seeing like they like first picked MF or something one of the games. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that was last week, not this week. But
Fearless back in Split 2. They're so great already.
It's kind of interesting.
I mean, talking to like some of the teams, it's like everyone knows that when you go against Marble, he's picking Varus, Ashe, Corki, or MF. Like that is the or Jhin if he's really getting, you know, stretched. And it's like, okay, like right now that kind of works, because those are the champs that, you know, ADKs are picking, because they're never really the primary carry source anymore. But like if that ever changes, it's going to be interesting to see if he can adapt, because right now, yeah, I don't know. He's doing fine. Like Marble's ultimately, I think, been the most consistent player on the team, but it's like he doesn't have that carry
that's a
factor
bad
like
thing.
Shogun does, right? Yeah.
Yeah, if Marble is your best player, something
Yeah,
is
something's happening.
terribly wrong.
Yeah.
Because like for
But
me,
that
it's,
is. Oh, you go.
like for me, it's that not the draft is kind of fine, like in every game,
Mhm.
which is usually the problem for other teams, you know. When you draft bad,
Yeah.
then you always lose. But like the games is like they play 7 games now. Yeah, the game one is 3 games. Like I mean, like in all 7 games, I think the draft is kind of winnable in many senses. Like even
Mhm.
in this series, right? Yeah, you look at it and you think, oh, they should win if you cover their IDs, cover their
Yeah.
team names. Yeah, so I'm more concerned on other side of his thing, of the things, right?
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, like especially game 2, right? Like having like if you can get 4v4s where the AD carries are just sitting there bot lane and doing as AD carries do, and you have Alistair, Yone, Sejuani, Jax,
Yeah.
that feels like okay. What 4 champions in League of Legends can skirmish with this? It doesn't like it's pretty hard to name 4 champs that can go up against that and reliably win. But you look at the Alistair that's 0 and 8, and it's like okay, well this guy is clearly not able to get mid and make any impact to let Fate leave his lane, and so it's just like okay, well. Vikings are just always going to be better off because essentially SoftBank are down a champ all game.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the next one. So we have a banger one. Yeah, Gambit versus
Yeah.
CFO. Sorry for the pictures. Something's broke down. But
That's so
anyway,
good.
yeah, I think like in general, I think it's kind of a good series in the first 2 games. Game 3, I fucking hate game draft.
Complete stomp. Yeah.
No, I just fucking hate that draft. It's so fucking stupid. And like I still can't get over it because I think like it should be a banger one at last. And
Mhm.
it's a close one and it ends with a very fucking one-sided one. But also
Yeah.
props to Honkyu, like bringing up the swing. I
Yeah.
don't really think he got it before, but it shows he kind of know how to play. He actually played pretty good also.
Oh, completely destroyed RS. Like completely just ran over him.
Yeah. And I still can't get why the fuck Gam put Ares on Galio again. It's the third
Hmm.
game they play. It's just not his champion, and they still put it. Maybe Levi was forced to use Kindred, but still, like I'm not sure like what the fuck happened in game 3 drafts.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind the Galio. Obviously, player like nameplates off. I actually kind of like the Galio. Obviously, it got counterpicked by Swain, which is hard to predict. But like, I just hate Xayah, man. I swear this champ is so bad unless you like are 5th picking it. I swear this is just a red side 5th pick champ only. Because how does Xayah ever interact with Swain? You know, like his ult, his demon flare, or whatever it's called, is like the same range as her auto attacks. And so like, okay, are you gonna sit there and try and auto attack trade with Swain?
Yeah.
You just can't because you're gonna get run over by the rest of the team. There's like no clear good way to use Featherstorm outside of, you know, maybe you've got to choose either Body Slam from Driver or Headbutt Pulverize from Kaiwing, and then the other one just hits you. So, like, what's the point?
Yeah, I mean like also like, apart from game 3, like the game one is kind of interesting in many ways, because
Mhm.
several actually get a pretty fine list in the early game due to game kind of fuck up things. And
Yeah.
they didn't do like what they need because the character Poppy, Nico, they did early this, but they kind of struggling to get it in the game. I remember, and somehow CFO can't end the game, and it dragged to like around 15 minutes, like second Elder, right? And they even do the fucking Baron and Elder swap. Like what the
Yeah.
fuck was that?
Yeah, I'll talk
Yeah.
about this one, I guess. I think this game was a good idea on what I thought GAM would bring to the league, where they just bring this scrappy sort of nature and they can have this sort of clutch factor and extend games. And we saw this a lot when they go to internationals. I don't know if you remember MSI, where they played against the Brazilian team, and Easy Love had that Zeri when they were down like 10k gold. And that's the sort of thing I was expecting from GAM coming into the league. It's just the games are going to be a lot messier, but they're going to get extended and they're going to see new angles. Whereas one side, you might be like, okay, the other team's kind of suck. They can't end. The same thing we were talking about, like Secret Whales, they couldn't end against Talon, blah, 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 blah. But I think GAM is the other end where they extend games by just being so good and so hard to beat, and they'll keep fighting you. Like if you have a lead, they're just like, okay, we're gonna fight you. We're not gonna lose slowly. We're gonna go for it. Whereas Talon is just like AFK, just waiting for you to throw. I think there's two different approaches. I much rather see games where they keep trying to do things. And I think this game was pretty fun to watch. There was a lot of action. It went on forever. It was kind of weird. I've seen this Baron for Elder Trade a lot because it's happened in LEC a lot as well. It's kind of interesting how like stagnated games can become in mid to late game now. I don't know why everything is so damn slow, but it feels like scaling comes to just naturally the way to go as long as you don't get run over in the early game, which is a possibility and kind of a problem. As we saw in game 2, it was like, even though it went for 40 minutes, it felt kind of like a stomp because there was a lot of fights, but Akali was like mega fed and just one shot anyone. And also they had Skarner, great champ, fun as always. But it's kind of interesting, at least to me, where you have one very close game and then one kind of stomp, and then game 3 is also a stomp the other way. So I think the series score of 2-1 does reflect it well. I think the game 3 draft is, it's one of the largest draft diffs I've seen in a long while. But I would say I did not think CFL had it in them to pick good champs on 4-5. I was expecting them to pick more dive, so they picked Gragas Swain on 4-5. Great adaptation, perfect, love to see it. I think GAM just revealed, they were like, okay, we're playing this. It's just like, we showed them, it's like, all right, we're going to play this. We don't think you're going to pick something good versus it. And then CFO did, shocker to everyone, myself included, because I really thought they were just going to troll, because kind of what VCS, PCS teams do, they don't kind of read drafts well. They're just like, okay, we're going to pick this. We don't care what you pick, we're just going to pick this. So it's kind of funny. Also, I got the correct prediction on if you pick Wukong in this series, you just instantly win the game.
Fuck it. Where's my
I'd love to see that.
That's the one
I can't believe it got to game 3. Yeah, it was just so, you just see it. He like, whichever one gets it, they just instantly win the game because they just know how to play around it so well. But yeah, this was one of the largest draft diffs, and actually does give me some sort of hope for CFO, because normally I like the biggest hater of PCS drafts in the world. I think past few years they're just terrible. PSG's permanently suck. CFO the past couple of years have been pretty abysmal too, because they're dealing with only having sword up play like 2 melee champs, and Gory's just playing like normal meta and he plays like 2 champs, and Karsa's running it down on like 2 champs, and it was like very limited. And then there are other teams like DCG who played a lot of wacky things, but they were kind of stuck in their wacky lane. And then FAK, they had also their own issues. So it's like every team in PCS, you're always like, okay, they've got a very set pool, so they're going to follow the draft in a very set way. But I think this game has at least made me think, oh, okay, CFL might try and break the norm here. They've learned some new things, and this could be one of the advantages you can say there is from Fearless. It's like, okay, you've been forced to try new champs. Can you learn to draft in a better way?
I just want to add on that is Driver is actually one of Driver's Gragas is one of his most praised
signature. Signature pick.
Even before he goes pro, like his Chinese ID name is Chezhang, which is driver, which is mean drivers, and everyone assume like he plays Sion, right? He actually do play Sion, but his Gragas is actually play more than his Sion before.
Yeah,
like before pros. And like going back to this series, also I will add that the game really gives the dynamics on like how to play Nocturne, like even when behind. Because in before, like when PCS team picks Nocturne, maybe except Junjia on Talon, like it's always just farm and wait for skirmishes, or even like wait for Drake fight, or hero fight. But it is in game 1, whenever Kaiwing or Junja like have give them one space, like one tiny openings, then they will just all in, which is very good.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think both teams played pretty well in general, but I'm very scared to see that. Well, I mean, like, it's only going to ever matter for this split, but, like, the fact we got to game 3 and Artemis is picking Xayah is just criminal. I swear this champ sucks so bad. I get it, like, they think it's going to be a dive comp, but, like, you still haven't seen 2 of their champs, right? And thankfully, CFO did pick the Gragas and the Swain, and this Xayah champ now, all of a sudden, like, who's it ever interacting with? Just actually nobody. Just Wukong, really, but yeah, I don't know. I think ultimately CFO just outdrafted in game 3. I think game 2 was a little bit scary considering like how far ahead the Akali was, and still it seemed like okay, there's some mistakes being made here, but eventually they did get it across the line. Also, game 2 was probably going to be won by CFO if not for Doggo randomly walking into a bush, losing his flash barrier and still dying. I think that was a, like CFO were ahead in game 2 up until that exact moment, which is where Arias got a quadra kill. So certainly some things to iron out for both teams, but yeah, CFO were clearly the better team.
No, but at least like Ares finally get on Akali to show to show his he's pretty decent. Yeah, but also maybe you guys don't know because you guys don't understand Chinese. So in week 1, CFO had released their mic checks, and from what I've listened to, they're so fucking messy now. Like there's so many different calls in many different scenarios. Like
Right.
Kaiwing, of course, loud speaking guy, as you guys should know, and Junya have some of his ideas. Doggo have some of his ideas, but I think like the most disconnected one should actually on driver, like when one or two of the players from CFO like give them a call, then driver will always have some counter calls or like counter advice. Like when they want to, like when Kevin wants to go in, and driver will keep saying, "Hey, maybe we cannot because of blah blah blah," something like that. So yeah, kind of an interesting one. And actually, from the my chat that they released, Hongkyo actually speaks a lot, which is interesting for me because before I assume like he just kind of a silent guy since there are like 4 veterans in the team.
Yeah.
But anyway,
okay, interesting.
Yeah, let's go to the next one. So
Oh God.
maybe you can speak about it.
Yeah, this series was so abysmal, man. Neither team deserved to win. I'ma keep it a buck. Both teams just played horrendously. So like game 1, like okay, it was very back and forward, right? Like the whole game was pretty back and forward. I have to say, like considering how strong Lemus was, he did almost nothing in these team fights. Every time Jimmy looked for a Shurima shuffle, he like never found anyone, but he always got summoners, which is like okay. Like if every time we're going in, we're getting like either the Aurora's flash or the Varus flash or whatever, is like okay, that's acceptable, right? Like you'd rather you hit someone, but whatever. Ultimately, I feel like the game, they get the Baron, they're pushing down. If they just recall when they get the inhibitor, everything's fine. We reset, we still have 1 minute of Baron to push some other lane, and we've got bot lane inhib down. Instead, they keep pushing. Lemus ease away and gets solo killed by Elise, and the rest of the team die 3v3 or whatever in the base, and then Team Secret Whales push down and end. Okay, yep, but this has happened once. We can learn from our mistakes. Game 2. Game 2. We have almost certainly lost. We've all died at the Arakan. Only Jimmy and like we're giving over the Arakan. Mir somehow gets into the fucking Arakan pit, steals the Arakan, kills Stella. I believe he even got out. He got withdrawn, so he doesn't die. Yeah. And then Jimmy also gets a snipe on Braum. So we now have the Arakan buff. We're very strong. We keep pushing, getting all these towers, getting objectives. Jimmy's one-shotting entire teams. We get the Baron. We're pushing down top. We get top inhib, and then we force a fight in the only area of the map that neither Jimmy nor Lemus can hit. We get aced, and Team Secret Whales push down mid and end. The exact same thing happens both games, where we've overextended for some ridiculous fight. We've died, and then the other team end. It's like... It's really problematic that the exact same way we lost happens 2 back-to-back games.
Yeah, I think this was what you call a tilter. I think after this series, they probably extremely triggered and tilted from the series of events that just occurred. I don't know. But at least from my outside opinion, it was like, okay, sure, you lost. It's terrible. Probably should have won at least 1 game here. Probably both. So you can spin that as a positive. But when you are 0-3 and you've lost all your series and you're kind of out of playoffs already, it does just hurt. And it can be difficult for the human side of things. and every team is different. It's very difficult to be like, okay, you might have lost, but yeah, there was a lot of good things to learn from this. It's very difficult just to do that and detach your emotions. So if they can learn from this and use it as a great learning experience, that's nice. But yeah, they really should have been winning these games. It was kind of disgusting how bad it was getting.
Yeah.
Also, like,
For both sides.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I want to talk about like Secret Rios. Like, I'm kind of disappointed again. Like, on both of the games, like they don't know how to use the side links. Like, even though they got Jax, they got Tristanner. Like, it's so fucking bizarre that they only know how to play the like 15 minutes of the game.
Yeah,
Mhm.
permafight.
Yeah.
They are very good at early games. That's one thing I noticed. Like they've got pretty good early macro. They've got pretty good early skirmishing. But yeah, as soon as the game starts going longer, they fall apart a little bit.
Yeah. Well, they're
Yeah,
still young,
bit
so
like
maybe.
Chiefs.
Yeah. Well, I don't even think. I think Chiefs early game is usually pretty poor, but it's like
Yes, it's a
it's
bad
just
early
like
game and mid game falls apart.
yeah.
Not going so great.
No. Also, like I know Molecule knows this, but as soon as the series happened, they all went home, and then the internet in their apartment all shut off. So like it's just
Yeah,
went
their
bad to
internet cut
worse
out
this
that
day.
night. Yeah,
It
yeah,
just
it's
went
kind of
bad
bad
to
actually.
worse. They needed like a technician to come in, but yeah, just
Yeah,
classic, really.
it's extremely lucky because it was the Monday. Yeah, the
Mhm.
Monday. So the technician came out on Monday, and it's Chinese New Year. If the technician wasn't available, they would have no internet for like 2 weeks. The
Mhm.
New Year break. So they are extremely fortunate. I was on holiday, so I couldn't even help much. So I was like, "Oh, I hope everything goes fine. If not, you are fucked." But
No best
luckily,
luck.
luckily it was just one night of no internet.
Yeah.
I like that's just icing on the cake, really. Get home, internet's out. Oh, sick.
Yeah. No, they should won that. If they won, then internet's back.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
This series is
yeah,
kind
I don't
of
know.
like that, but also, yeah. I mean, just want to add that, Taki, to be honest, he's from the first game, last week, he played pretty good, but kind of how to say, I would expect more from him because his Brom game is actually kind of, I don't know.
Bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Kind
can
of
just say it. It's
fucking weird.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was a
no,
dodgy
it was.
one.
So was the Nidalee. It's like this game. Eddie pretty fucking hard carried both games. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Eddie played very well both games, but ultimately, no one on Team Secret Wales won them the game. It was just the Chiefs winning them both games.
True.
I mean, the communication issue still there, clearly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Chiefs are like, I don't know. It's like sometimes you hear the phrase it's like five fingers make a hand and you need to play together. They're like
Mhm.
five different fingers on five different countries. They're fucking living in their own world, doing their own sorts
Yeah.
of things. Lemus
One's a
is
finger on their foot.
permanently somewhere else. Murray is inting. Barbapanther's trying his best to hold it together. It's like Spider-Man with fucking webs everywhere trying to hold everyone together.
Mhm.
And everyone's just inting. But yeah, it's I
Yeah,
mean, at least there was like good moments in the game, and you
for
could at
sure. I
least
mean,
see there are points where the hands aren't terrible, which was a concern. It's like if you were just bad at everything, it's kind of unredeemable. But at least they've got some micro that was going for them.
yeah, I think like Mick gets a lot of flack, especially from like the OC fans, because he's not one of the OC players. Generally, that's just how it works. But I think like game two, Chiefs just get rolled over, if not for Mir making literally one of the most heroic plays we've seen in the LCP so far. So I think credit is due to them for their good plays. Of course, critique him for driving his Kindred a Rift Herald into the second tier tower, but like when he makes a good play, I think his credit is due to.
Yeah. Okay, go for the last one. Talon versus DFM. To be honest, Talon doesn't deserve to win.
Again,
Again.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
again. Like, fuck it.
Yep.
My god, DFM actually kind of have a progress in, like,
yeah, they're pretty
from the
good.
first game. Yeah, it's kind of great, and it's like, we again, go on again. They show sign of life for the team,
Mhm.
but just some pretty critical mistakes in like team fighting. Draft is interesting also, to be honest. I'm not really a big fan of like Caitlyn Pantheon. Like, what the fuck is that?
No, it doesn't
Yeah, what
make
the
any
fuck is
sense.
that? But hey, they kind of got it doing in the lane. But like Harp Pantheon, I'm pretty sure he didn't ulti more than 2 times this game.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah,
especially the
it's roughy.
impactful one, only one.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. This like I've been very critical of the man, but goddamn, Milan, while he doesn't do a whole lot, at least he doesn't just run the game down, and Kakun constantly does. Like he won the lane, but like he's Caitlyn. You know, like there's almost no AD carry that can just lane against Caitlyn and win. As well as Pantheon, you know, Pantheon into Alistair. Alistair's not really going to do much as long as Pantheon has hands. But yeah, as soon as they get out of lane, both Harp and Cocoon just didn't do anything. Arya on the Vladimir, like it's a cute pick, but you can see where the wheels fall off, right? Like all of a sudden they take one fight without him and the game is just over because he's no longer really far ahead. And if Vladimir's not very far ahead, then it's kind of hard to do a whole lot in the fights, especially with the CC available, right? Like he has his pull, but he's going to get headbutt or pulverized even, or he's going to get body slammed, and that's kind of what we saw happen as this game progressed.
Yeah. Also, people need to start respecting Terran and CFO's Gragas. To be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
for sure.
I think they're the only ones that bring it up, right? Not. I don't think others have bring it.
Has
Really?
Kiaya? For some reason, I feel like Kiaya,
Yeah,
but I might
can
be
play
wrong.
it. Yes.
Yeah.
No, but I mean like
I don't know if he
stage.
has, but can. Yeah.
It seems like that's it. Maybe more teams will start to bring it on. Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The Vladimir into Aurora thing is very. I don't want to say it's fake because it is a very good matchup, but people are kind of picking it just for the lane. They're not looking at the whole comp. Because Vlad is good into Aurora because the minimal CC and you have a pretty chill lane. But you can't pick Vlad into tons of CC, which I've seen a couple times now. But I think this series was, like you say, Talon, they win, but they didn't do much. They kind of just win because they're there. And they just have a bit better fundamentals, and then DFM just like kind of ran it down. But there were sparks of life. And I think this is like a pretty good sign that DFM can comfortably stay in the top 6, and they should be able to beat SoftBanks in the final series they have. That might be a decider, because I don't know, maybe it's 1-5 versus 0-6.
Yeah.
For the final spot. It might be, but I think DFM looked pretty good, so maybe they'll get a couple wins in the future, and it gives them some hope. And it should be the level we're at.
Chiefs still, so there's. I mean, I actually don't know who I favor in that matchup, but you know, there's one of the teams is going to get onto 1-5 at minimum.
True. Chiefs first off, mates. Yeah, when is that? Last week? No, it's this week.
Yeah, it's this week. So
Sunday.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Sunday. Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like also from all the games in LCP, I don't think anyone knows how to use fucking Jax. Also, like I don't know, every fucking game I saw with Jax is team fighting. Like
even Kiaya looked pretty bad on it.
No, Kiaya looked really. I think Kiaya looked okay.
He is the best Jax, but in the games he was like, it should be more. It's not his normal Jax.
I think the problem with that game though, because I remember it was like his entire team was just feeding, and he was like strong, and it's like okay, he's just trying to patch the holes in the ship that's sinking, and he did a pretty good job at it. So I feel hard to critique his Jax on that game, considering how bad the rest of the map was going.
Like, but all the other games like Evie, Spivaki, and even like Rest, I think played one time.
Yeah, rest of his tank Jax. I mean, that was okay. It was just tank Jax though.
Something, yeah. But like, and last game from Hero, Hero. Yeah, all just so fucking like team fighting Jazz, like all sit at the front side, like what the fuck? Okay, I need to bring Jiang to show them how to fucking play Jazz.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Okay, but anyway, before I will talk about some of the matters, like the champs that LCP and LCK or maybe LPL, they're kind of different from point 1 and point 2, but I remember that this week they will play on point 2 and point 3, right?
Yeah, I mean the format's a bit of a joke. I don't know who at Riot has decided this.
Yeah.
I imagine there's something to do with that pushing for live patch, but there must be some sort of grace period where you can't play the live patch for like 2 days or something. I don't know. Now,
I wonder if we get Mal. I don't actually know.
is
I guess we will, but
yeah, she should be enabled for 0.3,
Yeah.
but
I've told that. Yeah, 0.3 they
it's
can use
kind of
now.
stupid.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I don't know.
that's the thing I want to discuss on, like Mao, and especially since Jace had got some nerfs, right? And yeah, I mean, like we just try to talk about, like, discuss about what we think of 0.3 expectations.
mm,
Yeah, for me, like Mao is like should be one of the best, but I'm kind of not too sure on what to play with her. Like, what is the good synergy one?
I don't think anyone
right.
knows at the moment.
Yeah, like from my experience of playing it, I didn't really care what I had on my team. Like something that had hard CC, so all of my Q stacks and my E would land and I'd one shot someone. So like I guess you just want CC, but everyone's picking CC anyway. Skarner's probably still going to be the highest presence champion, I
Yeah.
would dare suspect, because that champ is not being touched and he is still egregiously broken.
Yeah, we got 2 losses in LCP scanner.
Yeah, you know.
But yeah,
Yeah, one of them
look at
was
fucking
Levi,
Levi.
and I can't remember who the other one is. Yeah.
No,
Levi and oh,
stuff like
Levi was also the one, but
courage.
there. Oh, that's
Oh
right.
yeah.
That's right.
Courage. Yeah, this kind
There's
of
the
just
one annoying thing with Fearless, the presence stat
there's a fake
is
pick, right?
really incorrect now. Because if it's pick game 1, it can't be pick game 2 or 3. But that means the presence value goes down. So it's like really fake, really annoying. Something that
I don't know how. I don't know. Maybe this some of
I need
will
to
fix
try
that
and make
later.
some sort of code. It's kind of annoying. Make some sort of formula. I think we'll just end up using something called like series presence or something. So it's like, was it in the series, or maybe game 1 presence? Maybe that works a bit better.
Yeah.
Just to get an
Yeah.
idea of how strong of a prior. But it's ugly.
I mean, it's over the split anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
It's something for them to look for next year, or maybe they'll, midway through decide split 3 will be Fearless too, which would be cool.
Yeah, as far as I
Meanwhile,
know, I'll quickly say that Riot, I think from the global team, they mandate Fearless for Split 1, but for Split 2 and 3, each league kind of can do
Can
whatever they
choose.
want. Internationals will be normal.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, if you decide to do Fearless in your own league, you're going to inch your league for internationals, but they technically could.
Okay, yeah. I think internationals not Fearless is pretty decent. It depends on what you want out of the viewership experience, right? Because I like to see the best versus the best, like at Worlds, which would mean you wouldn't want Fearless, because then you get to see what these teams have crafted to go against each other, and pick bans are a lot more intricate, I feel.
I mean, like, actually, it's from a perspective, it's the both 5 games. Like, maybe 4th game or 5th game, there should be some changes. Like, I don't know, maybe game 1 bans, like the game 1 that's banned from Fearless can be open, something like that. I'm not too sure. Like, I kind of agree some of the opinion. Like, I want to see the classic matchup from, like, good the players on their signature champions, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe bring back the LCK game 5 and OGN game
True.
5.
Blind pick.
Yeah, OGN game
Blind
5.
pick. Fuck yeah. I remember that. WTF2 shins.
Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, that's a prediction again for this week. Oh, on Thursday, yeah, super week. You're so busy, Ben.
Yeah, that's right. No, this is
4
not
days
the
a week.
no. This is not the busy time. There's after next week is the busy time. There's like 1 day. It's 4 days, 1 day off, and then 6 days, I believe. So
Oh,
that's gonna be cool.
Playoffs or
The
something?
playoffs. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'll make
good. I don't know when they are.
I think I'm pretty sure. Like I'll need to recheck. Maybe there's a week off, which I kind of hope. But if not, I get 1 day off in between 10 days of games, which would be a little groovy.
No, I just checked the wiki. Starts on 18th. Yeah, you get 1 day off.
Oh my god, you're
Oh,
so fucked.
hell yeah! My
Wait,
voice is gonna be
love League of
doing
Legends,
well.
more League of
All right,
Legends.
so we're doing the podcast on Monday that week, boys.
Yeah, that's
I
great.
guess so. Oh
Okay,
my.
but anyway, for this week, DFM CFO, I think CFO should win, but it may actually turn out because, as we see, DFM keep improving, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not too sure actually did they have a long break, but I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure CFO should have got a long break from the
Yeah, I think
Chinese.
DFM had at least like 3 or 4 days off. I think most teams did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this series should just be a CFO win, because while I think CFO's weak point at the moment is Hongq, in general, TFM's is bot lane, and I'm pretty sure Doggo and Kaiwing should probably walk over the bot lane. even if there's lane swaps, I think they'll be
Yeah,
able to
should be.
navigate it better, and that should be like a focal point for CFO this series.
Yeah, but maybe I have a copium. Maybe DFM can win one game finally. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, the second one, Secret Rares against Vikings. Interesting one.
Yeah, that's an exciting one for sure. I mean, Vikings should win, right? Like in
Yeah,
theory,
the
but Team
second
Secret
one.
Wales are like the actual, like the dark horse of the league. Like it's so hard. They almost lost to Chiefs. They almost beat Talon. So it's like, where truly are these guys currently? It's still like so impossible to tell.
Yep, I agree. I think I'll favor Vikings to this one, but as you say, kind of a wacky one where we don't know where Secret Wales are. It's also Vietnamese versus Vietnamese, which means absolutely
A
no
buff.
one is going to be able to guess what's going to happen. It's just a fucking disgusting mess is going to go down, but it should be fun, I guess. It's going to be chaotic and messy. Yeah, probably won't be a stomp.
Yeah, kind of interesting one. But I'm also like Vikings should take the 2-0, since to be honest, Secret Rares they are in the weaker groups, like where they show against DFM, against Chiefs. Yeah, but the Talent one is kind of, I don't know, a bait one. Talent just fucking sucks now, not the one that we expect. So then Vikings actually still shows pretty much everything that we need. Beat game like clearly, beat SoftBank clearly, and have a very close series against CFO. Yeah, from the day one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Vikings should. I believe them. They can have a clean 2-0. Yeah, but on Friday we have SoftBank against Talon.
I don't think we need to say much about this
Yeah,
one.
still Talon, but again, uh, the it's more about like how Talon plays the game, how to win,
Yeah,
how
it's
to
like
win
the
the
way
game.
they
Mhm.
win. If they smash
Yeah.
them, great. If they win by being FK, is a bit sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, the next one. Oh my god, that's the buff game against Chief.
Yeah.
He's going to
Yeah.
enjoy that one.
We don't need to talk too much about this one too. I don't suspect. I mean, like,
I don't know. I
I
think
guess
What do you
like
if
expect?
you can
Yeah.
see if Chiefs
Garm.
have improved.
Yeah, no, for sure. And Garm aren't looking very dominant yet. You
I
know,
think
they're,
shaky.
they're
Shaky is the word
yeah,
that I will use for game. Yes. The,
yeah. But
and
like, it's kind of similar to the other one, right? Like, you should be hoping to watch Garm pretty clinically win this. If they don't, then it's probably Chiefs. Well, it's probably them underperforming more than Chiefs overperforming, which is why it's hard to like truly gauge if Chiefs have improved off this. Obviously, if they're doing like really good macro or whatever, you can tell. But I think just based only on the results, it's going to be like mainly on Garm of how good / bad they're playing than the
yeah,
Chiefs.
I mean, I think they will just destroy Chiefs on early game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they will do so many things. Yeah, go for the next one. Secret Rares and CFO. Oh, that's maybe the true one. Because I think like even though the Vikings and Secret Rares one will be interesting, but I kind of have the how to say the VCS blood inside Vikings, which just beat the fuck out of Secret Rares.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like this one may be interesting, and we finally see like how good Secret Rares can be, and especially
Yeah.
after the break, can maybe they fix some of their macro issues and still show kind of a dominance on aggressive plays, and also like Taki and Eddie, they showed good things in week one, and some of the games also in week two. But can they go up against Doggo and Kaiwing? Yeah, I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's just again, we don't really know what Team Secret Wales is yet. You know, it's really hard to judge off their 3 games because they've all been kind of illogical, the progression of them. So, and I guess it's not too surprising considering like it's a team that have a few rookies, but still, like it's still cementing where they are. It's I mean, maybe we'll know more after Thursday.
Maybe for me, I think like Seattle should win, but maybe it's like a 2-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially but like the 2 games should be like clear win, but like the game that they lost should be a kind of messy, and yeah, it should be about the same as the games, like the game that they dropped to the games the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what do you guys
Yeah.
what do you think?
Yeah, I think CFOs. I think it won't be close. I think this is actually the sort of series where we can see something quite boring, perhaps. This is kind of similar to something we might see from like Talon vs Chiefs, where the PCS team and CFO, they can play very slow and reserved and just not drag themselves into chaos. I think if you have Ginger on your team, he's very adverse to those Fiesta type games. So he's very willing to just slow it down. And then if you slow games down for us Vietnamese teams, it works quite well. They kind of just like end up inting themselves. So I think CFO should be pretty reserved and chill, because I think across the board they are a much more passive team than PSG,
Yeah.
but or Talon rather. But I think this will probably just be a 2-0 and probably like very clean both games
Clean one.
and very long games. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So for the next one's Vikings against DFM. This may be a trap game for Vikings, to be honest. If DFM keep like improving from what we've got from week 2, yeah, DFM maybe I'll give them a props because Vietnamese teams always drop some random games, right? Even at Worlds. And then,
Yeah.
maybe this the one for this, for them.
I still think this should just be a 2-0 for Vikings. Like, again, every win that DFM get is off of only Arya. Like, they haven't won without him being the reason they won yet. And I think ultimately how strong he is not going to be enough to deal with sort of the hole that we see in their bot lane. Like, even with Milan, who, again, like he's playing fine. There's no real critique. But, like, Shogun has shown up.
He
like,
always fucking die in the lane.
oh yeah, he'll just randomly die. But
uh,
like in general, it's like he's doing okay. But like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like Vikings should just be the clear favorites here, and like I don't think Arya is going to get enough done to justify thinking they'll take a game.
Yeah, I think Vikings definitely favored. I would say I feel like there should just be like an upset somewhere. Like I feel like some of these series need an upset. So I think this one might
Maybe the one.
have
Yeah,
some sort of upset
that's what I
potential.
thought.
Because by now Vikings are going to be locked into playoffs, kind of piss chilling, doing whatever, starting to think about the playoffs in the week after. Maybe it's just like, sure. Just kind of don't think about it too much, and DFM are mega tryharding for their lives. So maybe this is the upset.
Yeah, but if you do get first, you will be going up against SoftBank, DFM, or Chiefs. You know, which is like, okay, well, we probably want to be trying to get that, especially because like Talon, it's like one win apart. If Talon drop a series, then
yeah, I don't know how
like,
the format works.
I think it's
like
the
first
PCS one, right?
Yeah, first
So you
go
get
against
like a
sixth,
buy.
second go against fourth. No. That's like the weird one that happened recently. But I'm pretty sure now it's like first against
Wait, is it?
sixth, and I think so. Maybe I'm wrong.
Hey,
Either you get a buy, but I'm pretty sure because there's only 6 teams instead of 8, then it's first, sixth, second, fifth, and third, fourth.
The wiki said it's a double limb from the old one. Yeah, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I see that too. Yeah, okay, so top 2 seed is important, but yeah, not the end of the world.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah,
the
for
next
sure.
one, SoftBank Chiefs. Wow.
Yeah, this is
That
interesting because either team wins and they actually can try and contest for 6th place. So, like, yeah, I don't know. I think it is actually a close one too. SoftBank look not that great, and I think like the parts of their team that are looking okay also somewhat match with the parts of the map that are looking okay for Chiefs. Like I think Jimmy and generally has been doing okay. Like some of his scores look pretty bad, but I actually think he's been playing reasonably well. For the most part, Biopanther's been playing well, like almost every single game. I think he had one pretty terrible Cassante game, and outside that, he's been doing pretty well. Bot lane, Marble against Lemus, like both of these guys are kind of do nothing 80 carries. So,
True.
you know, whatever. It's like, okay.
like, this is the game that shifted to win. If they want to get a win, that's the only possible way.
I mean, both of them is. Like,
I mean, same as
do or
SoftBank.
die.
Oh yeah, I forgot about it.
Yeah, they're both just 0-3. I believe neither of them have won a single game in a series.
No, they did.
Well, no, they've both won one game.
They've
both won one game. Yeah, they've both won one game in a series. SoftBank do still admittedly get to go up against DFM, so they have another shot at it based on like standings alone.
Yeah.
But like I think whoever wins here is the team that is contesting for 6th spot.
It's more harder for Chiefs, right? Because they already play against DFM.
Yeah,
that-
Yeah.
I mean,
the
they've got what have they got? They've got Vikings,
Vikings,
Garm,
and
CFO left. Yeah, so like they're pretty
That's a rough
fucked.
one.
Yeah,
So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean that's why, from my perspective, is like the only game that they got a chance to win for this split.
Mhm.
The last game.
Yeah.
Then
yeah,
go on.
logically. But
Logically,
if I've learned anything about the PCS/LCP, is that logic's not often followed.
Yeah, okay. Like the last one, Talent versus Game. Wow, that's also an interesting one. Maybe I would still give props to Talent somehow. I think Game maybe at the playoff they can show up better. But yeah, from like just regular season, I think Talent will be better. Especially, I still don't believe Game's draft. Sometimes they'll fuck it up.
Yeah, I think RJ matches up well into Kaya, and I think Fofo is still just probably the best player in the league. So, the parts of the map that I think are good for Garm is I think Levi is better than Casa at the moment, at least. And like, admittedly, you having the better jungler can lead you to wins, but I think in general Talon match up pretty well, and they should just be favored. They have like the best player in the league, and I think Betty's been playing pretty well. Woody's, playing they're all playing reasonably well outside of some weird team decisions, and also Casa hasn't been playing that well.
Yeah, also I think this game should be on Pond 3, right? Because Saturday and Sunday
Yeah, it
is
is.
on
Yeah.
Pond 3. And that's an interesting part because I think the Grub's change actually is kind of big from what
Yep.
I
It's a big
saw.
nerf.
Yeah, it's a very fucking big nerf. And like even when you got 6 Grubs, there's still kind of like just the impact from 6 Grubs is very different. That's what I can say. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's
so I mean,
weaker.
like even if Talon play passive, like even they don't try to force things like before on around the crops, they can still kind of stall the games out because the macros are still there.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I mean, like it will be maybe a long ass series, and even like maybe when Talons have leads, game can stall it out also because like we saw it this week against CFO.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a close one. I think Talon's got to be favored. I think might show something different, a different side to them. I hope so. I don't want to see the Kendra Galio anymore. I'm not
Oh,
convinced anymore.
maybe emo will be playing. Maybe.
Maybe
Yeah.
like I said last week, I don't think they'll do that until like split 2 or 3 when they're like, oh fuck, this really sucks. But yeah, I think showing the other identities is exactly what I said though. Like they've got too many carries, it's going to take a while to adjust. Spamming Kindred Galio is not what I thought they would do, but they are. So it's kind of interesting to see what approach they'll go with. Like going through this week, because I think this week is kind of like the mock. This is like your final prep,
Yeah.
and then week 4 is just wrapping up, going into playoffs with minimal break. So this week is kind of whatever you've got ready is going to be shown this weekend, and then we can kind of have a very clear indication of who's the best team.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that will be it for us. So thank you guys again. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.